What's good with y'all tonight? It's your man Donald King, here to do his thing. I'm a different type of tired today. I'm a combination of unrested because I didn't sleep well enough last night. But also, I completed a task I've been working on for a while today. And there's that sort of, there's that fatigue of, I don't know, cross the finish line fatigue. We kind of like, finally I can rest. Kinda. Y'all good? I hope so. I'm good. I like to think I am. I try to be good. Or as good of a person as I can be. And a lot of people think goodness is subjective, but in the grand scheme of things, goodness is a source of comfort, regardless of how you decide to interpret it. And for a person who tries to live a good life, they strive to be a source of balance, comfort, and peace to those around them. You know? In that sense, it's like I strive to be a good person. You know, it's funny. I was sort of mulling over in my head what I wanted to talk about today in tonight's podcast. And it really boils down to a very simple sentence. You wanted to be mean. You want to be mean. You did something because you want to be mean. Most of you, especially those of you who've done nothing to sort of challenge your conditioning through the socialization process, you live in a perpetual state of aggression. You're always mad, always discontent, always ready to point a finger and attack someone for some reason, to ostracize them, to pass judgment on them, to weaponize the mob against them. There is always something just scratching, itching behind your neck, making you willing and ready so that when you are able or become able to pounce, you're there at the ready. Something is always making you angry, always triggering you. And as a result of you always being triggered, you are in a perpetual state of rage. You want to be mean. For many of you, being mean is so commonplace that you sort of consider the desire to be mean layers of gradation. You're like, oh no, if I really wanted to be mean to somebody, I could be really mean. But you don't ever pay attention to all the little things you do throughout the course of your day to be mean for no reason. You are what you practice doing most. If you practice being snide and rude to people, you might file that away under your personality type, but at the end of the day, what motivates you in your interactions towards others is a desire to be mean. Someone falls and hurts and you laugh, hurts themselves and you laugh uncontrollably. It's because the spirit of being mean is within you. Let's say you work at a fast food restaurant. Let's say you work at Chipotle. You see somebody come up in line and maybe they come from a racial group you've trained yourself to not like, so you make sure that you give them a smaller portion. Now, you might try to justify it as, oh, I'm just conserving resources because my job tells me to, but in reality, you did it because you wanted to be mean. Someone is coming down the highway or coming down the regular street, and there's a sense of urgency, and you see them coming up in the lane to your left, and all of a sudden, with something in front of you, you just glide in front of them, slow them down and block them. Now, you can come up with a bunch of different excuses for why you did it. Oh, I'm trying to keep, the speed limits low because people speed through here all the time. Trying to keep people safe. Or, I didn't see them. Or, I just had to get over because it's like I had to move. You come with any number of reasons for why you did it, but in reality, you did it to be mean. For most of you, you practice being mean every day. When you get to more extreme versions of meanness, you can become an abuser, an abusive person. You become a terrible boss. You can become a tyrant. But on the lower levels of just regular social interaction, you practice being mean every day. I don't know if they're doing something funky with my comments again today, guys, so I don't know if you'll be able to be seen. So far, no interlocutors have shown up. So if you're commenting and I don't get to you, it's because I didn't see you. But, yeah. People love being mean. I remember when Trump first got elected. It broke my heart. Not because of the politics. Not because somebody who I didn't care about one way or the other won a stupid contest that has absolutely nothing to do with governance. I got mad because I got sad because I realized I was surrounded by that many cowardly people. It became clear to me that we live in a world with that many people who just want to be mean. As I mentioned on several occasions, a coward is a person who is afraid to face and deal with reality and who instead tries to capture false senses of power by as a passive coward, either barricading themselves within mythologies and stories and groups and or the identity, or B, an aggressive coward who is a person who goes around trying to take their anger and frustration out on things to the tune of capturing false power. It's a coward. A coward is a person who... Hey, I see you, brother. Absurd the word. Absurd the word! I'll get to you in just 1 second. I want to finish this thought out real quick and I'm going to get to your point. A coward is a person who's deathly afraid of their own feelings of powerlessness and ineptness in reality. So they try to capture false power by either creating a space where they can control their perception of power or by trying to take power from others. You see, when people voted for this man, regardless of whether or not he won or didn't win, there were enough people who sided with him that let you know that you live in a space, you live in a world with people who just want to be mean. His platform, his entire platform ran on, it's our right to be mean. We deserve to be mad. We deserve to be greedy and selfish and take for ourselves. We deserve to be mean. And that's where he connected with people from across the racial lines. Aggressive people. Aggressive people regardless of color. Latinos, blacks, or whatever. People who wanted to see others punished for their own sense of amusement and satisfaction. They were all for this guy. Candace Owens. She just wants to be mean. every person I know who calls himself a Republican, they just want to be mean. They want power so that they have the right, they have the authority, they have the ability to unilaterally aggress against those they train themselves to hold contempt for. Aggressor parasites, the children of Mammon. They just want to be mean. Brother Absurd writes in, I'm thinking of the times where I'm aware I choose to show less compassion, where I had less patience, when I knew I wasn't trying my best to understand something. You know what? That's a great point. That's a great point, bro. Sometimes we have moments, all of us, self included, where we're not our best selves. We're not. And sometimes we don't have the mental or physical reserves to be present for others the way that we probably should. But in that, there's a difference between not being available for people in a certain way and looking for reasons, ways, and opportunities to justify doing little things to release your anger and frustration into people. A lot of people look for justification to take their anger and frustrations out on others, to use others as objects to release their aggression into. Look at all these corrupt police cultures and all these corrupt individuals calling themselves cops. Have you ever looked at the sorry, flimsy excuses they come up with to shoot people? The weak, just not even laughable, pitiful excuses they come up with to take other people's lives. In their mind, they can try and justify it any other way. And when you're talking to a bunch of cowards, then cowards are going to be like, oh, yeah, what they said. They're going to be ready to agree with you. But in reality, and speaking as a person who sees through the eyes of reality, let's be honest. They do it because they want it to be mean. They signed up to enforce rules because they want to be mean. Rules give them the right to hurt people who don't follow the rules. Rules give them the right to take their frustrations out on people who, even if by their own assessment alone, don't follow the rules. You didn't comply means I'm allowed to beat you mercilessly. They signed up to be mean because they want to be mean. And see, here's the thing. The reason why we're talking about this is because you need to understand this. At the top of society, there are people who have ungodly amounts of resources for no other reason than to feel important. Conversely, you have people who are at the bottom of society who are living hand to mouth, scraping by on next to nothing, who trade the majority of their resources, trade the majority of their life away in the form of labor for resources to survive on. And what stands between the person with nothing and the person with everything? What stands between the person with nothing and the person with everything? People who just want to be mean. You see, if I keep some cowardly ideologue in a perpetual state of aggression, always mad, always pointing fingers, always looking for somebody to blame, always looking for somebody to take their shit out on, if I keep this person radicalized, then I can weaponize them and detonate them whenever I want. You see, if I take food off this person's plate and twice as much off this person's plate, all I have to do is tell the person who's already aggressive, hey, they stole your shit. And the person who's already in the aggressive state of mind, they're ready to pounce. They already wanted to be mean, and all they needed was an excuse. All they needed was an excuse. It doesn't even have to be a good excuse. You look at these photos of people smiling at lynchings, the burnings of black people. What do you see? They didn't accomplish some great task. They basically, the lynch mob, they accused a person of doing wrong, got together and killed the person, and smiled. Why? Because it satisfied their desire to be mean, to torture someone, to take their anger and frustration out on somebody. They smiled and laughed with glee at the murder of a person who very well, and in many cases, was innocent of what they were accused of. You know what racists fight for? Racists fight for the right to be mean to outgroupers. When all these people were saying, God sent Trump to save us, what these children of Mammon were proclaiming is that their God, what they worship, will empower them and imbue them with the authority to aggress against those they train themselves to hold contempt for. Their God sent them a figure that would help them be mean. We got another commenter over here. Brother Muhammad. I'm going to keep this right here. It's warm in here, guys. Brother Muhammad comes in. People change because they maybe have occupations, problems, crisis. I don't speak about the mean people. Mean people are clearly shown from the beginning. Yeah, you know what? And first of all, Brother Muhammad, good to see you. Yes. Mean people. Mean people, they practice being how they are. They practice being how they are. You see, if you're not mentally and emotionally disciplined, and you go around thinking that how you're going to survive in life is by looking for things to steal power from and or transfer your feelings of aggression and animus into, you basically set yourself up for failure. These angry people, these mean people, they're mean because they don't practice being honest. They don't practice sitting down and mulling through all of the experiences, thoughts, and feelings that make them stay in a perpetual state of aggression. So what they do is they go around looking for things to just release this built up animosity into. You ever watch a prank show? A person is just minding their own business. Person's minding their own business, then all of a sudden they get blindsided with violence from a person who's laughing, saying that it's a joke. It's not a joke. The person who blindsided said individual with violence wanted to be mean. They wanted to be mean, and joking was a convenient excuse for them to sort of Trojan in, releasing their anger and frustration into somebody. They want it to be mean. Every day, some celebrity says or does something, and out of nowhere, droves of people join the gravy train, and they hop on, and they have all these opinions, and they bark at each other, and they parrot, and they squawk. All of this contempt, all this animus, all this rage. I can't believe they said this. They need to be removed from their program. Did the person really offend the cowardly ideologue? Nah. Cowardly ideologue is just mean-spirited and looking for a reason to pounce on somebody and to join in the fight, join in the cause of taking their anger and frustration out on someone. They want to be mean. Politicians who write these bills, which are literally handed to them by corporations and lobbyists, these people who are possessed by society at the higher tiers of the stratification system, how they are weaponized against the masses is narcissism, competition, and ding, 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 aggression. These entities, they prey upon these individuals' desires to be mean. What kind of heartless person could be a millionaire or a billionaire or even a thousandaire? Walk past a hungry, homeless family and find a reason and way to scoff at the people who have nothing. Look at the Salem witch trials. The Salem witch trials. You just randomly accuse a person of practicing Wicca, and you could have them killed. All the people who were just accused of witchcraft, so that these cowardly, disgusting beings could take their anger and frustration out on somebody. They accused people of witchcraft because they wanted to see someone suffer for their amusement and satisfaction. They wanted to be mean. Look at the Nazis. A lot of people have a lot of questions regarding how much of the story of the Holocaust is true. I don't get into all that. I look at the nature of human beings so far as I've witnessed. And if someone gets it in their mind that they have status beliefs, and those status beliefs imbue them with the authority to punish others, I can't see a scenario in which it wouldn't play out by how it's been described. When people want to be mean, the lengths they'll go to be mean are just unimaginable. And you look at these people trying to be mean in the present moment. What does the desire to be mean do? What does it push people towards in the current context? You have these awful individuals like Blue Lives Matter. They're not defending police per se. They're not defending, the necessity for or the goodness of police. They're defending their own desire to see someone in a position of authority be mean to individuals they train themselves to have contempt for. You want to be mean. You want to be disruptive. You want to be aggressive. You don't want to be not situationally, you don't want to be emotionally disciplined or mentally disciplined. No. You'd rather solve all of your problems by being mean to others. When you carry that aggressive spirit in you, you carry the signature, the energy, the spirit of corruption. You carry the spirit of Satan. It's something you feed. You feed it every day. Somebody comes along and they say something, they make a little mistake, who's there to pounce? Ready to mock and ridicule them relentlessly. You are. Somebody isn't wearing the newest clothing, who's there to mock and ridicule them? You are. Somebody doesn't have the latest social trend, whatever it is, who's there to ridicule and judge them? You are. Somebody doesn't comply or accept what they're being comply with and or accept what they're being told by individuals in positions of social authority, and who's there barking at them, shaking their fist? You are. The rules give you the right to be mean. Authority gives you the right to be mean. People breaking rules gives you the right to be mean. Every single thing traces back to one subject, one principle, and that is you have a corrupt spirit. You're in a perpetual state of aggression, and how you cope with life and how you deal with others falls to your ability and your desire to be mean. Don't hold the door for somebody. Leave your cart in the parking lot. Leave extra work for other people around. Mean, mean, mean. And see, the problem is when you are in that state of mind, you have a tendency to try to satisfy your desire to make things and people suffer for your amusement and satisfaction over and ahead of reality itself. You have a tendency to prioritize your desire to see things suffer for your amusement and satisfaction over reality itself. But more importantly, this nature that you nurture within yourself, it makes it so that you end up making all sorts of messes in reality and creating all sorts of imbalances and ripple effects, just trying to satisfy your urge, your addiction to being mean. Ooh, we got some more comments coming in. Hold on. Oh, it is warm in here, guys. All right, we got Sister Elizabeth coming back in. Or they try to kill that which they cannot have or be. Yeah. Yeah, let me see. Mean on account of fear or sense of lack. Yes. Yeah. This is ultimately what it boils down to. And you kind of hit it on the head with that, Sister Elizabeth. A lot of people are mean because they feel insecure and uncertain, and it's how they know how to capture a false sense of power. Cruelty is how they capture a false sense of power. I want something to suffer so I can feel tough, so I can feel safe and powerful by comparison. Mean-spirited people. And a lot of times it is due to jealousy. It's due to envy. And it's due to all of these. It goes back to the trifecta that I keep talking about. It goes back to competition, aggression, and narcissism. They are triune. The more narcissistic you are, is the more competitive and aggressive you are. The more aggressive you are, is the more competitive and narcissistic you are. The more aggressive, competitive, narcissistic, they're all triune. So you have to forgive me as I kind of fumbled with that there. I'm really tired today. But yeah, these people, they practice being this way. And it's very funny because I was talking about my homeboy the other day and how he ended up losing his work situation because he's constantly listening to this popular personality who's continually feeding him all these negative messages that keep him in a state of aggression. So then he turned around and lashed out at his boss, who happened to be of a group. He literally trains himself to hate and hold contempt for every day, and end up losing his gig. That's how it works in reality at large. You sit here and you start training yourself. You train yourself over and over and over again, and reinforce this negative outlook towards individuals and groups and towards life in general by constantly feeding your aggressive spirit. Then all of a sudden you blow up. You make some sort of ripple effect or imbalance in reality that is just astronomical. And it's no one's fault but yours. You nurture this spirit within you, and then when the spirit takes over and causes you to do something to aggress against reality itself, guess who's left holding the bill? You. Brother Muhammad comes back in. He says, forget about them, bro. Keep people who keeps you and always standing by you, whatever the situation. They will find the solution at the end. And absolutely. And I'm going to agree with what you said there. You're absolutely correct. You know, how to get rid of the aggressive spirit? It's not by being aggressive. How to get rid of that sort of desire to be mean? How to get rid of meanness in the world? Period. It isn't by being mean back. You know, they did me wrong. I need justice. Eye for an eye leaves the whole world blind. I personally don't take a lot of offense to people trying to be mean to me all the time. I try to, advise people against it because, again, I'm hosting an entity, and the entity does not stand for it at all. It does not. Human vanity is just, it hates human vanity with a passion. So I try to steer people away from being aggressive towards me in that way. But, I understand that it's a lot of people's, it's how they know how to make sense of things. But, you need different tools. Regardless of who you are or what your lot in life is, you can't make it through life by just taking your anger and frustration out on things. You can't go through life trying to capture false senses of power here and there, but just being mean to everybody and everything. It doesn't work. At a certain point, you're going to have to sit down and you're going to have to sort your shit out. You're going to have to sit in the mirror. You're going to have to do all of that deep digging, and you're going to have to actually, do the mental and emotional work to get yourself right, because just being mean, it's not a solution. Everybody's out here always trying to judge and punish people. You're bad. That means that I can judge you and punish you. And translation, hey, you did something bad. You're out of thing with authority. That gives me the opportunity. That gives me license to take my anger and frustrations out on you. This is how it works. And unfortunately, even after you punish people, the problems you want to punish them for, they don't go away. Let's say somebody raped somebody in your family? You know, are you dealing with the person who raped, or are you dealing with the phenomenon of rape itself? If you just want to get even and you want to make yourself feel better, then you can go and find the person and you can chop off their genitals. In some cases, it feels warranted. It feels good. But for a second, what happens if you chop their genitals off and they go back and just find another way to violate somebody? You kill them, but then somebody turns around and does the exact same thing. And even worse, what if it's one of that person's victims who turns around and perpetuates the cycle? Punishing things makes you feel good at a personal level, but it doesn't solve problems at a systemic level. Being mean doesn't solve problems. All it does is delay them and exacerbate them. So then you add aggression into the mix on top of problems that are already there. You have to get to the root of what's causing things to happen, and you have to solve things from the root. The thing is, you're not thinking about things mechanically when all you want to do is be mean. Let me see. Sister Elizabeth comes in. Yeah, I've been taking self-inventory. Brother Joshua Jones comes in. Cruelty is a generational curse, a self-replicating loop of self-absorption, which leads to self-destruction or solitude, which then creates resentment, which feeds the original cause and problem. Cruelty. Yeah, cruelty, being mean, absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm going to agree with you, Brother Joshua. It's like, we have it in our minds that we're going to solve all our problems by releasing our frustrations into people, and it never works. It never works. Parents get mad and a kid does something wrong, and instead of giving the child discipline and instruction, they decide they're going to punish the kid. They're going to transfer their anger and aggression and their feelings of disappointment into the kid with various forms of violence. Does it actually help the kid learn? No. It teaches the kid that violence is the way to solve a problem, and that if they're just mean to people, they can get people to do what they want. It creates more problems than it solves. And it can make you feel momentarily better. Not in the grand scheme of things. Exactly, okay. So, but yeah, this is what it boils down to, guys. I keep repeating this thing over and over again, and I realize I'm becoming tautological at this point. But most people just want to be mean. They want someone or something to come along and give them the excuse they were looking for to release their anger and frustration into somebody. And it doesn't solve problems. It only makes things worse. It only makes things worse. We look at these people, again, we talk about the people at the top of society, those who have the lion's share of resources. And again, I want to be very careful in saying this because they were born into a circumstance just like the rest of us. So, pointing fingers is useless at this point, but there should be some element of them that is connected to reality that helps them understand, dude, I don't need all of this stuff. There are people out here who are dying so that I can feel important. Maybe I need to chill. There should be a mechanism in them that sort of kicks in and makes them say, what am I doing? Wow, no. But when you're lost in idealism, when you're sort of lost in the identity and in the individual and cultural narrative, you can have it in your mind that what you're doing is essential and fair and just. And like I was talking about in one of my previous podcasts, when you listen to people over listening to reality, you lose every time. Not only that, but you create ripple effects in reality that well, one, you have to pay for, but two, that are felt by many. Just sort of being a narcissistic prick. But what stands between them, what makes them able to take the lion's share of resources and write laws that make it impossible to challenge them and things of this nature? A bunch of mean-spirited assholes who were looking for someone to give them the authority to unilaterally aggress against others. That's why you sign up to be an enforcer agent. You sign up because social authority gives you the right to take your shit out on somebody. And instead of dealing with your shit, you'd much rather punch down than stand up. In every culture around the world, the poor get attacked by the lower middle class. And lower middle class and even the poor are the first to ridicule and admonish the poor. Why? Because lack of resources gives them the right to take their shit out on somebody, right? You don't have money, that means I can treat you like shit. You don't have a degree, that means I can treat you like shit. You don't have social power, that means I can treat you terribly. What does social power or credentials give the person? License to be mean. What do social rules give people? License to be mean. What do politicians who win office give people? Right to be mean. Right to be mean-spirited assholes. Yeah. Yeah. So, this is basically the point of the podcast tonight. I wanted to go a little bit deeper. It's like I don't know how well I dialed in on this one. I'm feeling I'm a little off tonight just because it's like I'm so tired. But look here. The point of everything that I'm trying to communicate is that this latent, this sort of background impulse to be mean, it's something you practice giving into. If you look, and y'all see me talk about this often, but it is for this reason alone. If you see something that's even funny on Facebook, there's a little voice, and it's got all laughs, all laugh emojis. There's a little voice in the back of your mind that says, let me disrupt this wave of consensus. Let me be contrarian. Let me be disruptive. How often do you practice listening to that voice? How often do you practice indulging it? There was this, I forget this movie. Forget what the name of the movie was, but I think it had Nick Cannon in it. And it was about these people being lost in a room. You know what? I don't want to use that reference. There was another movie, and it was two friends, and they were offering them different increments of money to do terrible things, and they knew that they wouldn't get caught, so they went for it. And I it's going to come to me a little bit clearer. I'm a little bit fuzzy. I'm a little foggy right now. But it was one of the dudes from Drew Carey, right? And basically it ended with the guy killing his buddy for I think $100,000, and it was like, what would you do for your family? But you can't do that if you don't already have it in you to do it. Like, you actually have to practice being mean. You have to practice cruelty. In order to even be in a position where you would kill somebody, you literally have to practice being mean on a regular basis. You have to practice being aggressive. Ah, man, I fudged that story. I feel so bad. I feel so bad in sort of referencing that, but the point of it is that you have to, this is something you have to practice, guys. You literally have to practice being cruel in order to be cruel. So every person who ends up killing somebody in the line of duty, everybody, like, of course they're going to have to answer to reality for it. They put themselves in a position to be cruel and then practice being cruel, so that ultimately when they were in a position to, they killed somebody and claimed that they did it for reasons unrelated to what was happening in reality. You practice this stuff, man. You are what you practice doing most. We got a few more comments coming in. Those who seek to control others usually are those who feel most out of control. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Elizabeth says, man, damn, yeah. Would You Father, is that the movie? You know what? I don't know, Elizabeth. I think I caught it from the middle of the movie. For it might be, and I'll have to check it out. But it was just really weird. Like, what would you do for money? What would you do for money? And they just kept going further and further and further. And it ended with the dude killing his friend. But he already had to be in a competitive, aggressive, and narcissistic state of mind in order for that to have even been a possibility for him. You know, it's something that you practice doing. It's something you practice being. You practice being mean and doing little things throughout the course of the day to just sort of casually release anger and frustration into others. You casually, through the course of the day, train yourself to release anger and frustration into others instead of dealing with your shit. So that ultimately, you're a ticking time bomb. All it takes is somebody to put a little bit of pressure on you, and you're ready to release it all into someone or something, because that's what you practice doing. It's what you practice doing. And again, reality doesn't play this shit, guys. It is a self-aware system. It is the perfect accountant. Every negative impact you make on reality, it is accounted for absolutely. Every negative impact you make on others, it is accounted for absolutely. You will pay dearly. I was mad is not an excuse for destroying pieces of reality. Reality is like, oh, word, you were mad. Why didn't you practice dealing with your emotions and learning how to sort your shit out? That's not an excuse. Well, it made me feel better. That's not an excuse. I did it because someone was mean to me, so I was mean to someone else. That's not an excuse. When you make negative impacts on reality, you have to pony up for each and every one. All of them. There are no exemptions. There are no mail-in rebates or special coupons. No, you're paying for all that shit. And the more you practice being aggressive, the more you practice being mean-spirited and sort of getting it nice and cozy within your soul, feng shuiing yourself with that cruel spirit, is the easier it becomes for corruption to use you as a weapon against reality. When corruption uses you as a weapon against reality, any action you take under the spell of corruption, it gets charged back to you. the more you practice being cruel, casually, the more you do little things to be slick and mean, the more you heckle people, the more you go around being a narcissistic, aggressive douche, it's the easier you make it for Satan and or corruption to inhabit you and use you to make messes in reality, which you will have to pay for on the back end. Let me see. Let me see. Sister Elizabeth comes again. I do this in a playful way, but in retrograde, I feel it deeper. I can flip right the fuck out. Retrospect, LOL. I'm a sarcastic asshole sometimes. You know what? Yeah, it's like, you know what? And this is something that I wanna mention, Sister Elizabeth. The socialization process trains us to be this way. We're groomed to believe that we're groomed to be raging narcissists. We're taught to believe that the spaces we grow up in, the nations we grow up in are the best, and that the groups that we're born into are the best, and that we are somehow inherently superior to others, and as such, it is our right to judge people for being beneath us in whatever way we deem them to be so. So we watch even television shows, and you watch these crass characters just being rude and mean, and they're always funny. They're funny. You look at somebody like Fred Sanford or Ethel from the Sanford and Son, and these were just mean, cruel characters, but they were funny. You look at Cartman from South Park. He's mean, but he's fun. It's funny. You look at Peter Griffin. You look at the majority of the characters on television, and when they're mean, it makes you laugh. You are trained from a very young age to associate humor with being mean. Cruelty is funny. We look at like the Jackass series, and these guys used to just destroy their bodies and destroy each other for shits and giggles, and we laughed uncontrollably, self-included. Just being mean. We were taught to think it's funny. We get amusement and satisfaction out of seeing others be cruel, and when we want to demonstrate value to, you know, our respective peer groups, one of the easiest ways to do it is by finding somebody to be cruel to in order to get everyone around you to laugh at their expense. Yeah, I'm glad you tuned in too. This is again, guys, we were all born into this circumstance. None of us chose it. So I try to not be so judgmental. I know that, you know, for a lot of us, you know, even the people who are at the top of society, like, you got to understand, they were born into cultures who that basically told them they were the good guys, and that everyone who said that they didn't deserve what they wanted and couldn't have what they wanted were bad and out to kill them and out to get them. And you get traumatized with this information, having these stories fed to you over and over and over again, to the point that you become traumatized. And as I had mentioned before, trauma is the phobia of being disempowered. So when you're a traumatized person, you've been through a traumatic experience, and, you know, trauma is the resultant fear of being disempowered that you experience whenever you're injured physically, emotionally, psychologically, in any way, shape, or form. We were born into this shit. So, you know, a lot of times, and this is a point that I definitely wanted to get to, and I'm glad that I circled in that direction. A lot of times when you are mean, you are mean because it gives you a sense of empowerment. And if trauma is the phobia of being disempowered, then cruelty is, well, how you keep yourself from experiencing that phobia. It's how you keep yourself from being triggered. Be cruel to these people so that you are sort of settled in your own worldview. Yeah. It's rough. It's rough. Appreciate you too, sis. I do. But we have to be solution oriented now, guys. See, there are a lot of people who have aggressed against us, and the very first thing we want to do is get even. They were mean to us, so we want to get mean in exchange. And again, eye for eye makes the whole world blind. We want to get even, but we have to get better. We have to sort of face this phenomenon head on. Yeah, you made me mad. Yeah, I want to get even. I want to, you hurt me, so I want to hurt you. You took from me, so I want to take from you. It doesn't solve anything. At a certain point, you have to lean into it like, yo, I'm gonna, how are we gonna stop this cycle once and for all? I'll tell you this much. You're not gonna stop people from being mean by being mean back. That much I can promise you. Beat them to it sometimes. Yeah, it's like sometimes you do want to beat them to it. My experience is this, and I'm very fortunate for having gone through the enlightenment phase in the way that I have. My inner sense of justice had to get just completely decimated in order for me to sort of see the world in terms that weren't relative to my inner sense of justice. You know what I'm saying? My perception of self had to get destroyed in order for me to see things as they are, as opposed to how they exist in relation to my identity. So, yeah, sometimes, a lot of times, I really want to beat people to the punch. And, you know, and what is it? They have the 5 rules. So the golden rule is to do unto others as you would have them do unto you. The silver rule is do not cause harm to others. The bronze rule is treat others as you are treated. The iron rule is treat others poorly first, because they'll likely treat you poorly. And the 10 rule is idealize those above you, treat everybody below you like shit. But yeah, so sometimes we want to be in that iron mentality. Like, well, I know that they're gonna you know, hit me, so I might as well hit them first. But nah, we can't solve problems that way. Like, we got to step into it. We got to be brave, and we got to go into spaces with people who are holding knives with open hands and open arms. Like, I know you want to stab. I know you want to be mean. But come hug it out, motherfucker, because that's not going to get you what you're looking for. You got to be brave enough to confront these people. Like, yeah, I know why you're scared. I know why you feel disempowered. I get it. I get it. But how you're attempting to solve problems now, that's not the way. It's cowardly. It's weak. Let me show you how to be strong. That's what I try to do. Instead of getting even, I try to show people how to be strong. Yep. Or the only rule needed: don't be an asshole. Yeah, that's true, Sister Elizabeth. That's the silver rule: do no harm to others first. I tend to go through a combination of silver and silver and bronze. So I don't do the golden rule. Me and Jesus, we don't really vibe on this particular point, because treating others ideally, that only works when you're dealing with people who are not thinking parasitically. When you're dealing with somebody who thinks parasitically, if you treat them ideally, they're going to use you up. Period. Right? And then also, if you treat somebody how you want to be treated, what happens if they don't want to be treated the way that you want to be treated? Like, what if you give somebody chocolate cake because you want chocolate cake, and they like, no, I like vanilla? That's my problem with the golden rule. So I do the silver rule. The silver rule is do no harm to others. So in order to do no harm to others, you have to be conscientious of them. You have to be cognizant of the type of where they are in their experience, and then you have to figure out, okay, how do I avoid causing harm to this person in reality, not damaging their ego. You don't have to worry about that. Just how do I avoid causing harm to this person, and that keeps you in a conscientious frame of mind, right? And then it's like, if somebody decides that they're just going to be an asshole, and I say that I'm not going to do harm to them, but they are intent on doing harm to me or others, then I have to adopt the bronze rule. And in the bronze rule, it's like you do unto others as they do to you. So I'm a combination of silver, and I'm a combination, let's say, of gold, silver, and bronze. I mostly lean towards silver because I want to stay conscientious of what's happening. But it's like, when the opportunities are perfect, I love just being good to people. So I love the golden rule in that sense. Doing to others, hey, I want to be good to you, man. Can I please be good to you? That's my natural way. And then if somebody just wants to be aggressive to other people and aggressive to me, then I have to step in and I have to say, you know what? That's enough. We're not doing that anymore. If you want to take your aggression or your frustration out on somebody, you brought it to the right one. But I'm not going to let you bring harm to others. It's like for instance, like a pedophile, if he wants to, or a bully, you want to pick on kids and stuff like that. I don't have to step in and beat you down. I just stand in between you and the kid. You're not going to hurt them. You're not. You're just not. And that's me employing the bronze rule. Like, no. You want to be a force of disruption? Well, guess what? I'm going to be a force of disruption to you. You're not going to take your shit out on other people. That much I promise you. You know what I'm saying? So, let me see. Brother Jones comes back in. True strength is found in vulnerability. Absolutely. I agree with you. And we're on the same page as far as that goes. Sister Elizabeth comes in. The word is corrupted, so no worries there. Yeah, absolutely. And let me see. The golden rule is actually attributed to Confucius. J-Man just borrowed it. Okay, and that's possibly true. Yeah. I'm not a big fan of the golden rule myself. I like the idea behind it, the general idea, but when you start getting into the practical application of it, then it becomes kind of tricky, because not everybody wants to be treated the way that you want to be treated. So if you go around treating people the way that you want to be treated, I mean, like, for instance, I can't go around, like, trying to initiate sex with beautiful women just because I want beautiful women to initiate sex with me. That's wrong. You can't do that. You can't do that. That's not kosher at all. It's not copacetic. But yeah, it's like, so just do no harm to others. Conscientiousness, silver rule. I like it. Yeah, man. Oh man, I didn't realize we had gone this far into the show. I thought I was at 40 minutes, but we're at 1 hour and 4 minutes. So y'all who've tuned in tonight, I appreciate you so much. You know what? We're going to go to the mainframe with the ticker. I got, you guys are watching this obviously on Facebook Live. I shoot these every Mondays and I shoot these on Mondays and Wednesdays. And usually it's between 7 and 10 o'clock. It seems lately my schedule's been kind of up in the air, but it's kind of mellowing out now. I also post to Instagram. You can You can catch all of these videos on YouTube. After I record them, I upload them to YouTube, and you can check them out there as well. And then also I post content to Medium. You guys can always feel free to join the Patreon family. I am Avatar Cycle XIII. That's Avatar Cycle 13. And you can also join if you get any sort of appreciation out of what I do, and you just want to Salt Bae your boy with a little bit of love, toss a little love in the collection plate. You can always hit me up at Donnie Kang at Cash App. That's DONNIEKANG. Proceeds go to building this up to a larger platform. I want to reach as many people as I can before I'm out of this body. And, you know, it's my way of giving people an opportunity to be part of helping clear the path for this thing I'm hosting to be heard. So, yeah, everybody gets to be part of their own salvation in that way. But yeah, so I'm gonna switch back over here because we're gonna close this out. But here's the main things that I want to drive home with you guys. You do realize that being mean is something you practice every day. A lot of times you do it in subtle and unrehearsed, unexamined ways, like not holding the elevator for somebody. If you're being honest with yourself, you did it because you didn't help them because you wanted to be mean. You leave a cart in a shopping cart in the parking lot in a space that someone needs to pull into. It's not that you couldn't have wheeled it over to the cart, to the cart rack. You did it because you wanted to be mean. Somebody says something online that you don't agree with, and you come in and you got to talk over them and things of that nature. You're not trying to inform them of anything. You're doing it because you want to be mean. Someone gave you an opportunity to be mean, and you either practiced being mean or you went higher. Every day, I hope you all practice choosing to go higher. Being mean is easy. Being mean is funny. Being mean is social and acceptable, and it'll put you in the in crowd. It'll put you on the outs with reality, though. That much I can promise. Guys, I appreciate you. Much love. Y'all, thanks for tuning in. And you have yourselves a wonderful evening. It's your man. I'm out.